with evaluation, it's something that I've not had to do in my 20 years of training. I came to Penang nearly 3 years ago, and I walked into a Toastmasters club. The reason being, because I didn't really know anyone in Penang, so I thought, you know, you've got to plug into the community somehow, because I had recently moved. And so I walked into a Toastmasters club because I'd been in one in Singapore. I got my CC in Singapore in 2 weekends. It was ridiculous, but that's how it was, okay? And so I thought, you know, I'll walk into a Toastmasters club and see what happens. So I walked into a Toastmasters club, and one of the DTMs slid me a note as I walked in, halfway through the meeting. He says, "I'm going to speak, can you evaluate me?" So I didn't know what that meant, other than to give feedback, right? I knew it meant to give feedback. I didn't know that you had to, you know, have finished 6 CCs or whatever, how many CCs, or whatever the rules are. I had no idea. I didn't know there was such a thing as a sandwich method. I mean, I ate burgers, but I had no idea about sandwiches. No idea whatsoever. I was absolutely clueless, other than I knew that I had to give him feedback on his speech. And so began my journey into the world of evaluation. So I've been speaking for 20 years, but I haven't evaluated until almost 3 years ago. I enjoyed it so much because, you know, when you're an evaluator, you've got the power, right? You can really exercise the power. Now, you may not feel that way about your evaluation when you get up to do evaluations yet, but believe me, when you know what you're doing, it's very powerful, and you will feel it. And if you don't feel it, we'll run another workshop next year, okay? Because today I'm going to try to get you to feel it, to feel that power. Now, power can be misused. In Malaysia, we don't know how to misuse power. Well, at least one guy knows how to misuse power, and he lives in Putrajaya. The rest of us we haven't got a clue. You know, we keep us. You know, we're not open to donations, basically. One ringgit here and there. No, that's about it. We keep ourselves quite small. We keep ourselves on the side of humility rather than being proud. So it's okay, it's good, but sometimes it's nice to feel what it's like to have a little bit of power, just for the experience. Because when you have that, and when you can come to the front and declare your observations to the speaker will already feel like what you're saying is valuable. Now, what you're saying has to be valuable, of course. But you know how sometimes you can say something and it's not convincing? You know how that is? Like you're in sales and you say something, you try to sell and no one's convinced? Yeah, that can happen with evaluation as well. But what we'll do today is we're going to try and feel our way through it, like literally feel our way through it. I'm going to, I've called this session how to evaluate what? Better than anyone else in the room. And the reason I've called it that is because it's true. Basically cut all the nonsense that was appearing in, guess where? The evaluations. All the utter nonsense. And I call it that because that's what it is. It deserves nothing better. When you whitewash, when you tell a speaker great speech, when you say good job, all of this is utter nonsense. So I'm going to give you the opportunity today to have a different perspective, a real perspective on what's going on when you evaluate a speaker, a real perspective. Would you like to have, to deliver evaluation that is real? How many of you would like to do that? And how many of you would like to deliver an evaluation that is even better than what you're able to do now? Okay, you're in the right place. Let's get started. In every fiber of my being, I didn't know what it meant. So I asked myself the question. I'm going to ask you the question too. And this is how we're going to start. speaker can improve it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Because you were briefly a couple. Okay, fine. Couples always think the same.
Tell the speaker the good and the bad point has.
Right. So the one dimension is to deliver not just the good, but also the bad. Okay. The good and the bad. Now we'll talk about the bad later, because the bad's the interesting part, isn't it? The good one, forget about that. The bad one's the interesting. Yes. A dimension.
Then the opinion of your personal.
Okay.
Or your observer.
So it's personal, it's yours, it's personal, it's from your eyes, you've observed something, and you are delivering something personal. In other words, are you going to cut and paste from, the TI manual? No, you're going to avoid any kind of copying from anywhere. You're going to say what you feel about things, okay? Hopefully, you're able to say it from a space that is, more than a 5-year-old child. Because, when you start with this, expressing yourself on stage, which not everyone has yet, right? But when you start doing that, really expressing yourself on stage, sometimes what you say, if it's bad, can come out as the C word, right? C-R-I-T. You know that word, right? It can come out as criticism. And when it comes out as criticism, then it's really bad. Okay? As an evaluator, we're going to have to look at how we articulate criticism. Yeah, how we criticize. Okay? Because you can kill people off with criticism, right? Yeah, thank you.
Any comments or provide any recommendations for them to do better?
Yes, to do better. This echoes what we've heard here. Thank you.
Judgment.
Okay, so there's an element of judgment. Who does not like to be judged? Raise your hand if you really don't like to be judged. Yeah. Okay, so the others, we will judge you properly today. Okay, thank you for the green light on that one. Yeah, there's an element of judgment. Does the evaluator have to make some kind of judgment about things? He does. Or she. Absolutely. You have to be judge and jury. And then you have to deliver the verdict. So we'll talk about how we do that, right? Thank you.
To tell them how they are doing, what they are doing, and how can they improve them.
Okay. Yes. To tell them what they're doing
How are they doing?
and how they're doing. I think how they're doing is probably a nice one. Guess what? You have to deliver a bit of. You're the bad news person, by the way. So whenever I point to her, you all know what I mean, right? Okay. And if we talk about feeling, whenever I point to him, you know what I mean, right? Okay. Okay. Good. Thank you.
It's an assessment of what the
Hey, hang on. How long have you been a Toastmaster?
1 week. 1 week.
1 week. Okay. You keep quiet first. No, go on. Go on.
Assessment of what
You've lived long enough. Go.
the speaker is doing good,
Yes.
what he or she should continue doing, what he or she should stop doing.
Okay,
and
choose
how
one.
she can
Choose one and tell me. What do you think?
He,
One dimension.
yeah,
Choose one.
assessment.
Okay, so there's some kind of assessment.
Yeah.
Assessment, judgment, these are, they're very similar areas. Thank you.
Telling the truth to the speaker.
Wow. What do you think the hardest thing is for an evaluator to do? How many of you find telling the truth to be the hardest thing for an evaluator? Yeah, absolutely. So when your wife asks you, am I fat? That's hard, isn't it? I just say yes. And then talk about something else. And there's a reason I do that. I'll tell you about that later. Okay, it involves the criticism thing. how to handle it. Thank you. Thank you.
Area improvement.
Yes, areas to improve. So there are many areas in speech, right? There are the technicalities. What are some of the technicalities? Eye contact is a technicality, right? These are technical things. Yeah, the head gestures and the body language. You know, these are technicalities. There's more to evaluate than those areas. So it's not limited to just the technicalities. There are other areas. And in fact, today, I'm not even going to touch a technicality. Because when I evaluate, I never mention technicalities. Why? It's just my preference, though. I just don't find it especially useful.
Because you touch your nose.
Yeah, because otherwise they'll get me, right? There are other areas, thank you for that use of that word. There are other areas that are more significant, that would have greater impact for the person's next speech. For the same reason, I never mention grammar. Have you heard perfect grammar, you know, from every speaker? No. We hear often imperfect grammar from most speakers. But as an evaluator, I don't see it as being anywhere useful to mention it. Because that person has been struggling all his or her life with the grammar, right? It's not like in the you know, you mention this and in the next speech their grammar has improved. No. It won't. So I don't see the point of mentioning stuff like that. You talk about things that you can affect them somehow, right? Add value to them. Thank you.
Observation. You need to observe.
Okay, we'll come back to this word. The ability to make an observation, as in the ability to see things, like insight. How many of you would like to, you know, when you evaluate next time, would like to have an insight or two to share with the speaker? You know, how many of you would like to have an insight about the speaker to share with them in the evaluation? You know, because this is a function of your ability to observe. Do you observe the surface stuff, you know, eye contact, gestures, or do you observe feelings? There are many things to observe, many areas to observe. Thank you. Okay, let's quickly do the back row. Since the back row is only 50%, the opinion only counts for half price, is it? Okay, back row, your opinion counts only half price, so very quickly, come on. What do we have?
Motivation.
Okay, to motivate. That's an interesting word. It's a word I personally hate. But I'm so glad you brought it up, because now I can talk about it. In my opinion, there is no such thing as me motivating you, or you motivating them. You can take a whip and give them pain. That might motivate, right? But really, the motivation, if they don't feel the pain, no motivation, right? If you give them the whip but they don't feel the pain, will they move? No. So the motivation actually is external or internal. If you think about it. It's internal. When someone feels the pain, then they'll move. Then they'll shift. Then they'll change. If they don't feel it, they won't. Okay? So I hope you all kasih baik-baik. No, but that's true. You can, you know, I can jump up and down and think I'm motivating everyone, but if you don't feel the pain of whatever it is that you lack, maybe, you're not going to move. You're not going to shift. You have to feel the pain. So motivation is very much a personal thing. It's internal. External things can play a part, but at the end of the day, it's all internal. Thank you for that. Yes. Sorry, we've skipped you, but never mind. Because all of this is only 50% discounted anyway. You'll pick up. Yes, please. Sorry? To highlight the strengths. Is it nice for someone to tell you what you are strong at? You know, after you've given a speech, you know, you've delivered a speech, you've sweated over it for days or in some cases maybe just the night before. And then you delivered it, and then someone says, you know what, you were so confident up there, or whatever the observation was. That's quite nice, you know. The word is validation. Hello. I know you. The word is validation. We all love to be validated. And as human beings, in a way, because we're social creatures, we kind of need validation from others. We don't talk about neediness, but yes, it's nice to know that others feel good about what we've done. Thank you for that.
Yeah, it's a constructive feedback.
Okay, so it's feedback that is constructive. Something that people can build on and use. Thank you. To what? To give a score. Okay, I have to learn from you. I've never done this before. You know, give a score is interesting. I was a judge at a poetry reading competition in Singapore. They held it in a disco. Okay, I don't know why they held it in a disco. You know, and these young people came up and they were real, you know, they were hipsters and whatever else, and they'd written their own poetry. You know, it was horrible, but anyway. And I was one of the judges, you know, and the judges would hold up the score. You'd write the score and you'd hold it up, okay, out of 10. You know, 9 out of 10, 8 out of 7.5, whatever. You'd hold it up, just like those gymnastics sort of things. So we do that. And some of it was so bad, I started giving negative scores. I gave one person negative infinity. And then the next person I gave 4. That person was so delighted they came and hugged me after the show, you know, they got a 4. So that's how powerful the evaluator can be, you know. Someone can be so delighted just because you offer, you know, what's a low score, but because maybe your standards are so high. Have you ever thought of that as an evaluator? You have standards. You know, sometimes we think, we must see what standard they are, you know, that speaker. What standard is the speaker? Actually, ask yourself, what standard am I? As an evaluator, what kind of standard do I have? You know? And give yourself a score. If you can score yourself, maybe you are in a better position to score others. Thank you for that perspective.
Give awareness to the speaker.
Yeah, it's true. I take video, not because I want to put it on Facebook. I take video so I can see my, you know, whatever I touch my nose. So that I'm aware, because no one's going to tell me. No one's going to tell me that it's bad. That's the problem. Okay, so I've got to have a video. This is how I learned my craft 20 years ago when I started. I was not a public speaker. I was a copywriter. You know, those are, you sit behind a desk and you write 100 pieces and 99 are rejected. You know, that's what I used to do, advertising. But when I started speaking, I thought I need to learn this quick because the client is paying me. So video, in those days it's an actual tape, video, and then I was aware of every horrible detail. And then you learn. All right, when you're aware of every horrible detail. By the way, if I ever visit and have a chance to evaluate you, I will deliver every horrible detail. And you will fly. You might fly away from Toastmasters, I don't know. But you will fly, huh? Thank you.
To analyze.
Yeah, to analyze. I hate the word analyze, but you know, you're right. I think there is a great element of analysis when it comes to, certainly it requires analytical skill to construct an evaluation that makes sense. Thank you.
Share your personal thoughts respectfully and responsibly.
Okay. Must be respectful.
Use the power that's given to you.
Okay.
Your responsibility.
Okay. Okay, fair enough. Yeah, so you're going to share your personal things, but you're not going to do it like you're a 5-year-old child or you're a prime minister, right? You're just going to be real. Yeah, be real. Sometimes the word, the reason I question respect, because sometimes the word respect is confused with don't tell them the whole truth. Sometimes, you know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? I'm not criticizing you, I'm saying, this is how we apply the word, we must respect the Dato' Lang. So we don't tell him that, you know, his belt buckle is falling apart or something. We keep quiet and pretend everything is fine. Sometimes I think to respect the speaker, you must not keep quiet. You know, you must say. Out of respect for this person's desire to develop, you must say. But how you say it, that's a different story. Okay? All right, thank you. only the surface of what evaluation really can be. Okay? So it's not everything. We're going to take a few more steps into the world of evaluation today. That's what we're going to do. So I just spoke part one. So here are some questions I'm going to use to bring out the points I want to make, right? What areas should you observe? That's the word, right? Areas. What areas should you observe? Now, I've already said there are some areas that you don't even, you can ignore, right? Did you follow that? Okay, what are some of those areas that you can pretty much ignore? Yeah, the technicalities such as gestures. What are the others? Just so to remind ourselves. The eye contact, grammar. All right, these are things you can ignore. I'm not telling you to ignore them. I'm saying there might be other areas that are more important to talk about. How many minutes do you have for your evaluation?
3.
Yes, it's not forever. Huh? 3. So you get on with the important stuff. Okay, and you can leave the insignificant stuff like the technicalities. You can leave that behind. So the areas to observe. I'm just planting the seed that you can watch your reaction. You can watch all the other things, of course, but you can also watch one more thing: your reaction, your feeling towards what you just received. Okay, so these are things you can watch out for. Here's one thing that you were never told as an evaluator, almost never told. You could have someone gives a speech and you're the evaluator and you now have 99 observations. And only 3 minutes. So clearly you've got to do something about that situation. And it's very logical as to that you need to decide which ones you're going to comment on. I tend to limit myself to 2 positive, 1 negative. That's what I tend to do. And if I can't do that, 1 negative is fine. I've completely abandoned the contest format of evaluation, which is the sandwich method and stuff like that. I will evaluate, and if there's nothing good to say, not that there's nothing good in the speech, but you know, why say the things that they already know? I just get straight into the stuff that I think should have been in the speech instead. You know, what the opening should have been like, how many points should have been there, and how you needed to conclude a speech like this. You know, I get straight into what was missing. All right, you don't have to do that. You can follow the sandwich method or whatever other food methods they have. That you want to persuade, and how, in what way? Because there are, I think, you know, do you want to inspire us? Do you want to inform us so that we can take action? Or do you blah, 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 blah. All right? So it was very simple for me to say that. And then, of course, in her opening, she didn't have the message statement either. She had the title, Wisdom, as it turned out, but no clear message statement. Now, she's younger than me by a lot of years. So when someone that is younger than, you know, many people in the audience gets up to deliver a speech entitled Wisdom, there's something she needed to do in the opening as well. Do you know what that is? She didn't do it, right? She just started and told a little story and whatever, and made everyone laugh. That's good. But there's something she needed to do. She needed to, and this is something that I did when I came up here. I needed to say why I was qualified to be up here, right? She needs to qualify herself. She's young. She's talking about wisdom. She needs to qualify that. You might think, well, young talk about wisdom, how to qualify? I'm telling you, very easy to qualify. You can say something like, I may be younger than some of you in the audience, but tonight I'm going to tell you about something that happened to me and how one bit of wisdom that I learned from that experience changed everything for me. Is that fair enough? Anyone can say this, right? Yes. So hopefully she has a story to back it up. But that's how you do it. I watched a district level evaluation contest once in KL or something. And the test speaker was a young punk. All right, now I can say that because I'm old. So anyone is a young punk to me, except Gerald Green. But he was young, and he came up and he declared to, you know, an audience of 400 or 500 adults. He said, "Today I'm going to show you how to conquer fear." No, hang on, let me do the voice. Today I'm going to show you how to conquer fear. Show you how to conquer fear. It's very simple. By the way, when you're speaking, don't change your voice up. Even if you're doing your mother's character in the story, don't change the voice. It's okay, guys. Don't change. Let your mother be manly for a moment. Because when you change the voice, if it was serious or whatever, the only effect that it has is that it's silly and people laugh. Okay, but okay. So this guy he got up and he says, "I'm going to show you all how to conquer your fears. And it is simple. F-E-A-R." And this is an acronym that he spelled out, right? And F stood for whatever or whatever. Wow, so nice, huh? The fear can be conquered by the English word fear. You know, in an acronym form. Wow, so nice. And he just went on and he finished his speech and off he went. And I was thinking, you know, he needed to qualify himself. He needs to say why he's qualified to tell older people how to conquer their fear. And you might think, well, how's this guy going to do it? But it's very simple. Very, very simple. All he had to do was say, I am younger than almost everyone in this room, but I had an experience recently, and I was able to overcome it. I'm going to share that with you today. You see what I mean? He qualified himself. This opening, he is qualified to speak about his experience. And, you know, he conquered his fear. We can't say that you can't conquer fear. When you're young, of course you can conquer fear. All right? But don't position yourself in a way that's open to everyone in the audience not believing what your credibility, basically. So, as an evaluator, watch out for these things, because the speaker needs to know this. If the speaker doesn't qualify himself properly for whatever speech he happens to be delivering, you must say it. And you tell him to do it in the opening. So and so that's already quite valuable, isn't it? That's quite valuable feedback to give to them. Speech organization is very simple. If you can restructure the speech into 3 points, and you even have the wording for each point, even better. Now, I don't know if you can think that fast, but some people can. You know, they can have ba 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 ba. You know, one bit of wisdom for the speech today. First point. the wisdom to overcome physical pain. I learned this is last night's speech, right? The wisdom to overcome financial pain, and the wisdom to overcome other kind of pain. So, you know, I restructured her speech very quickly. Frankly, I have no idea how she structured her speech. All I know is that it was unstructured in that sense. It wasn't clear in the structure. So I said, look, why don't you just do this? 1, 2, 3. Physical, emotional, physical, financial, and, you know, miscellaneous or whatever. And she can go back and work on that. And now they felt that, you have delivered, strangely enough, a criticism in the truest sense of the word without being critical. Do you see what I mean? You simply say what you think should have happened, and you actually spell it out. Then people don't feel, you know, devastated by it. They can like, wow, okay, that's good, thank you. They'll be thanking you, nice. You criticize it, they thank you, wow, that's nice. Okay, closing. So here's the thing I wanted to mention just now. You have to decide on one more thing, not just the 2 plus 1 or the 3 plus 2. You have to decide on how much weight you're going to give the comment. So, if you do want to mention the hand gestures, because maybe the hand gestures were out of control. Anyone see a speaker whose hand gestures are a bit out of control? Yeah, I've seen that before as well. Okay? When I watch my video, I see that. You might want to mention it because that's something they can correct for the next speech. And it is very distracting perhaps, okay? So you decide that, I have to mention this technicality. Fine, that's okay. What you want to do now is decide on how much weight you give it. My suggestion is, do it fast. Give it almost no weight. If you say it, if you say, oh, one thing that I didn't like about your speech is your hand gestures. You use it this way, use it this way. Sometimes you use this, sometimes you use that. And then you take, 45 seconds, 1 minute to describe all the ways that she did her hand gestures wrong. Guess what? You've given it way too much weight. And now she's devastated. Okay? And you did it. You did it. You're responsible for that. You can comment on it, but maybe give it very little weight. You can say, there's the hand gesture thing that you did, but I'm sure by the next speech you would have sorted that out. That's enough, That's enough. They know. And if they want to know more, they can come and ask you. It's fine. So you can say, I'm sure it's no big deal, but by the next speech, you probably have sorted it out. You make it sound like it is no big deal, because you know what? It really is no big deal. In the grander scheme of things, it is no big deal. That little thing that irritated you so much is really no big deal. So don't give it all the weight in the world. Okay, so weight is very important. I'm on yellow light, that means how many more minutes? 2, is it 3? Left 2, okay. So how do you decide from the 99 observations that you made, what is important? Do you like anything? Did you dislike anything? These are things that you ask yourself, right? In others, you're asking for your own reaction, right? The feeling that you get. Is it something you liked, something you disliked? This is how you decide, right? Because you might be representative of the larger audience. What did you like or dislike? This one. What impact something had on you? Here's some examples. Was the impact this? You now have new knowledge. And if it was, when you say it, the speaker might feel quite encouraged, because maybe that was their objective, right? So it's good. So you don't have to say, good job. You can say, you know what? I now know how to have a better breakfast. Well, the speaker thinks, oh, okay. The sharpness is coming. Maybe it made you think. Maybe it stirred something in you. If it did, say so. You know what? If after this workshop, or any workshop for that matter, you go up to the facilitator and you say, you know what? And honestly say like, you made me think. You know, the facilitator will think, okay, I did my job. I made you think. Because I can't change your life, But if I can make you think, okay, now you make me think. Did it move you to to act? Can I have a couple more minutes? Is it okay? Okay. Did it move you to act? So, hey, you know what? Now I know how to make a better breakfast, and I also feel like tomorrow I'm gonna change what I normally do. If that's the feeling you get, thank you for using the word. If that's the feeling you get, please say so. Don't keep it in. You want to know what fantastic insight? You know, if you're waiting for the lightning bolt from heaven, wait some more. You have to go with what happened inside you, okay? Or how did it make you feel? Now, this is the interesting thing, because this one word, if you Google feeling, you might come up with a page of feeling words. Now, I came up with there was a page that listed 800 feeling words in the English language, and I'm sure there are more, because you know who knows all the words, right? How many of you know all 800 words up? Okay, like 719. Okay, maybe start. How many of you know 10 feeling words? Just raise your hand. 10. You think you know 10 feeling words? See, I might test you, and then you'll be like, my hand got a mind of its own. Yeah, you know. Okay, we know 3 words lah. Angry lah, upset lah, depressed lah. We know these 3 words. Happy, you know, excited. We know a handful, maybe 2 handfuls. That's it. 10 if we're lucky. Seriously, you go and, I mean, not this afternoon, but when on your free time, you go and go. Well, 8 only. It's not going to take very long before you run out of words that come to mind. And yet there's 800. In other words, if you know 10, and if we add up all the different feeling words we have in this room, and let's say we have 25 different feeling words, that's pretty good. We're missing out on 775 other ways to express the truth. Wow! We're not doing our jobs properly as evaluators if we're not able to articulate these things. Okay? It's quite stunning. So, here are some examples very quickly. Did you feel satisfied? If you did, say so. Did you feel inspired? If you did, say so. Now, say so is the thing that I like to say. Did you feel clear now about the issue? Are you confused? All right? If you're confused, try to be constructive. Say, I was confused, but you know what? If you restructured it into 3 points, this, and this, I think I'll be clear. That's constructive. All right. Did you feel? Do you feel more confident, or now are you afraid to swim in the sea? Okay. Maybe you felt encouraged, or maybe you felt discouraged. You know. Today I'm going to talk to you about one MD. What's it? MDDM thingy. Today I'm going to talk to you about the one donation that you need in your life. You can go shopping with that one donation. So, encouraged or discouraged, did you feel closer to the speaker, maybe? See, these are things you can articulate. You can say these things. Do you feel like the speaker, now that you've heard the speaker, oh man, I'm not alone anymore, I was kinky like that too. Or whatever, right? And not alone anymore. These are ways to encourage the speaker by giving them the truth about how you felt. Maybe you felt that, I had to say this once to a test speaker in a contest. She did her speech. She did all this, right? Completely rehearsed many, many times, clearly rehearsed many times. Completely memorizing what I said. You're making my job very difficult because I couldn't get past the plasticness that you offered. I won the contest, but the area governors came to me and said, hey, next time you don't say it like this. But I just felt I needed to tell the truth. It was so artificial. And if a speaker is behind that barrier of artificiality, of drama, of you can feel you're not getting the real person. You might need to say it, and that's the difficult part about being an evaluator, where you need to say this kind of truth, because it can really hurt. But you know what? if they can get past that. You know Gurmit Singh? I remember hearing him before and after he got past this. I remember hearing his first speech after he dropped the barrier, and he came and told me, he says, Mervyn, that was the very first speech where everything I said was real and me. And I said, yeah, I could feel it. Everything before that, he says, there's always an element of showmanship, whatever. Okay? He dropped it. Since then, he has won and won